For 30 years, Brian Warner told us exactly who he was. He stood on stages across the world, draped in leather and corsets, and declared himself the Antichrist superstar. He called himself the God of 40T. He built a global empire on fear, shock, and the promise that he was the nightmare polite society deserved. But for decades, we convinced ourselves it was just a costume. We told ourselves that the contact lenses, the self-harm, and the jagged scars were just theater, performance art designed to rattle conservative cages and sell records. We thought the monster was just a character played by a quiet, intelligent man from Ohio. We thought we were in on the joke. We were wrong. While the world was busy debating his lyrics and blaming him for tragedies he didn't commit, a much darker, far more tangible reality was allegedly unfolding behind the blackout curtains of his West Hollywood home. It wasn't about music. It wasn't about art. It was about control. From ruthlessly silencing the bandmates who helped build his throne, to a confirmed assault on a cameraman that revealed a violent temper, to the avalanche of disturbing allegations from women who claim they survived his bad girls' room. This is the story of how the shock rocker became the very thing he pretended to be. To understand the fall of Marilyn Manson, you have to understand how the machine was built. Before the fame, before the lawsuits, and before the accusations, there was just a journalism student named Brian Hugh Warner. He wasn't a chaotic force of nature. He was a calculated architect. Growing up in Canton, Ohio, attending a strict Christian school, he saw firsthand how fear could control people. He realized that in America, you don't need talent as much as you need a brand. He merged the glamour of Marilyn Monroe with the horror of Charles Manson, creating a dichotomy that acted as a mirror to American culture. It was brilliant, it was dangerous, and it was incredibly lucrative. But as the brand grew, so did the casualties. The Marilyn Manson entity wasn't a democracy, it was a dictatorship. And the first people to learn this lesson were the ones standing right next to him on stage. In the late 1990s, as the band was skyrocketing to global superstardom, the cracks in the brotherhood began to show. Scott Patesky, known to fans as Daisy Berkowitz, was a founding member. He helped craft the signature sound that made Manson famous. But when creative differences arose, Patesky wasn't just asked to leave, he was erased. Patesky sued Manson for unpaid royalties and publishing rights. It was the first sign that Brian Warner was willing to go to war over control. That lawsuit was settled out of court quietly, with Patesky gaining rights to early recordings, but leaving the band's legacy largely in Manson's grip. Then came Stephen Beer, known as Madonna Wayne Gacy. He had been with Manson since the beginning. In 2007, he filed a lawsuit alleging that Manson had used band money, money that should have been shared, to fund his own lavish, eccentric lifestyle. We're talking about allegations of purchasing Nazi memorabilia, African masks made of human skin, and even the skeleton of a young Chinese girl. While these disputes were business disagreements and not criminal acts, they painted a portrait of a man who viewed people as disposable components in his machine. He settled these suits, paid the money, and the machine kept rolling. Because by then, Manson had found a much bigger enemy to fight, one that would make him untouchable. April 20th, 1999, the day everything changed. When the Columbine high school massacre shocked the world, the media was desperate for a simple explanation. They didn't want to talk about gun control. They didn't want to talk about mental health or bullying. They wanted a villain. And there, on the cover of every magazine, was the perfect boogeyman, Marilyn Manson. Despite the fact that the shooters didn't actually listen to his music, the narrative took hold. It was a moral panic of the highest order. Manson was blamed for corrupting the youth. Protesters swarmed his venues, holding signs claiming he was killing kids. His concerts were canceled across the country. He received thousands of death threats. But ironically, this witch hunt became his greatest shield. It cemented his status as a martyr for free speech. When he finally emerged from the silence to appear in Michael Moore's documentary, Bowling for Columbine, the world expected a raving lunatic. Instead, they saw a calm, articulate man sitting in a chair, applying makeup while dissecting American culture with surgical precision. When asked what he would say to the kids at Columbine, he famously replied, "I wouldn't say a single word to them. I would listen to what they have to say, and that's what no one did." In that moment, the public perception shifted seismically. We stopped seeing him as a villain and started seeing him as an intellectual victim. We thought, he's not the monster, society is the monster. The intelligentsia embraced him. He started appearing on talk shows, not as a freak, but as a commentator. He befriended Johnny Depp. He appeared in Sons of Anarchy. He was welcomed into the Hollywood fold as the cool, edgy friend. This vindication gave him a get-out-of-jail-free card for the next 20 years. If the media lied about Columbine, his fans reasoned, surely they were lying about everything else. The rumors of drug-fueled meltdowns, lies, the whispers of violence, exaggerations, the stories of bizarre sexual depravity, just rock and roll mythology. We gave him the benefit of the doubt because we felt guilty for judging a book by its cover. But while we were apologizing to the artist, we ignored the warning signs of the man. We didn't realize that the character of Marilyn Manson was becoming the only reality Brian Warner knew. In 2019, at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion, the mask slipped in a way that couldn't be explained away as art. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't a tabloid headline. This was a criminal case. Manson was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor simple assault. Unlike the vague rumors of the past, this had legal teeth. In September 2023, Manson pleaded nolo contendere, or no contest, to the charge. He was sentenced to 20 hours of community service and fined roughly $1,400. It was a slap on the wrist legally, but symbolically it was a massive blow. It was confirmation in a court of law that Brian Warner had trouble controlling his impulses. It proved that the boundary between the character and the man had completely eroded. In 2007, the world watched as 36-year-old Marilyn Manson began dating 18-year-old actress Evan Rachel Wood. At the time, the press treated it as a quirky Hollywood romance. We saw them on red carpets. We saw her in his music video for Heart-Shaped Glasses, engaging in scenes that looked raw and intense. We didn't know how raw they really were. We didn't ask questions about the power dynamic between a 36-year-old global superstar and a teenager just barely out of childhood. In February 2021, after years of vague references to an abuser in testimony before Congress regarding the Survivors' Bill of Rights, Evan Rachel Wood posted a simple statement on Instagram that shattered Manson's career. She named him. The name of my abuser is Brian Warner, also known to the world as Marilyn Manson. In the HBO documentary Phoenix Rising, Wood detailed a relationship defined not by love, but by grooming, manipulation, and terror. She alleged that Manson essentially brainwashed her, isolating her from her family and controlling when she ate and slept. She described a pattern of love bombing, overwhelming affection and gifts, followed by systematic dismantling of her self-esteem. Most chilling were the allegations of the bad girls' room. This wasn't a metaphor. According to Wood and other accusers, this was a small, glass-enclosed space in his West Hollywood apartment. Originally a vocal booth, it had allegedly been repurposed into a solitary confinement cell. Wood claimed she would be locked inside for hours, sometimes overnight, to be punished for minor infractions like being too loud or disrespectful. She wasn't the only one. The floodgates opened. Esme Bianco, the actress famous for her role in Game of Thrones, filed a federal lawsuit accusing Manson of human trafficking and sexual battery. Her story echoed Wood's with terrifying precision. She claimed Manson brought her from the UK to Los Angeles under the pretense of filming a music video and starring in a film. Once she arrived, she alleged she was controlled through fear, force, and drugs. Bianco claims she was chased around the apartment with an axe. She alleged that during intimate moments, Manson cut her with a knife without her consent. Other women followed. Ashley Morgan Smithline, Ashley Walters, a woman known only as Jane Doe. They all described a similar pattern: the charm, the courtship, the isolation, and then the psychological torture and physical abuse. They described a man who used his wealth, his reputation, and his scary persona to silence them, convincing them that no one would believe them, or worse, that his fans would destroy them if they spoke up. Manson denied every single claim. Through his lawyers, he called them horrible distortions of reality. insisting that all of his intimate relationships had always been entirely consensual with like-minded partners. He argued that these women were reshaping their past consensual experiences through the lens of the hashtag #MeToo movement to destroy him. However, Dark Celebrity Truths is about facts, not just accusations. And the legal outcome of these allegations is complex and frustrating for those seeking clear justice. After a grueling 19-month investigation by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the case was handed to the district attorney. And in a move that shocked many survivors, the DA's office declined to file criminal charges. This is a critical distinction. In 2023, just days before trial, Manson reached a settlement with Esme Bianco. Another lawsuit by an anonymous Jane Doe was settled out of court. And in a stunning turn of events in 2024, Manson agreed to drop his own defamation lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood. He had sued her, claiming she forged FBI letters to make him look guilty. But in the end, not only did he drop the suit, but he also agreed to pay roughly $320,000 of her legal fees. When the allegations broke, his record label, Loma Vista Recordings, dropped him immediately. Even his attempts to return to the stage have been met with resistance. His planned 2025 concert in Brighton faced such intense backlash from women's rights groups and local residents that the pressure on the venue was suffocating. He is playing venues a fraction of the size he used to command. He is no longer the god of Foreign. He is a pariah to the mainstream, clinging to a fan base that views him as a victim of a conspiracy. He once sang, "The beautiful people, the beautiful people." But in the cold light of the truth, stripped of the makeup and the stage lights, there is nothing beautiful about the wreckage left behind. The intellectual artist who outsmarted the media during Columbine is gone. What remains is a grim cautionary tale about what happens when we stop distinguishing between the art and the artist. The legal battles may be settling, but the silence surrounding him is louder than any song he ever wrote. His legacy is no longer defined by Antichrist superstar or mechanical animals. It is defined by the voices of the women who refuse to be silenced. It is defined by the glass walls of a room in West Hollywood where the nightmares were allegedly real. Fame protects the guilty until the secrets become too loud to ignore. And here, the truth always comes out. If you thought Manson's spiral was chaotic, wait until you see the absolute wreckage of Charlie Sheen's Tiger Blood era. It's a story of drugs, delusion, and a public meltdown that the world couldn't look away from. Watch the Charlie Sheen Dark Truth next. The link is on your screen now. Fame hides everything until it doesn't.